Good morning, everyone. This is Neha Sharma, Department of Mathematics at IIM University. We are on to discrete structures, the second unit of discrete structures, okay, which is algebraic structures. The topic that we would study today is binary operation and sets with binary operations. Okay, so we would first see what a binary operation is, then we would see certain sets that are with binary operations. Okay, so let's start today's topic. Okay. Okay. So let's first see the outlines for today's topic. The first thing that we have to see is the prerequisites for binary operations and sets with binary operations. Then we would see certain real life examples over this unit. Okay. Then we would see what an algebraic structure is. Then we would see certain kind of algebraic structure, which is the quasi-group, then semi-group, then monoid, then the most important is group. Okay, so basically all of these things we are studying because we want to study what a group is. Okay, so this is the most important thing that we would study in today's video. Then we would have some exercise, and then we would have some learning outcomes and references. Okay, so let's start with the topic. Okay, so what are the prerequisites for this topic? That would be sets, functions, certain kinds of operations, and then all the sets like natural numbers, integers, rational numbers, complex numbers, and etc. Okay, so basically, uh, all those topics that we have studied in the first unit, okay, that those are important, or they happen to be the prerequisites for this particular unit. Okay, so let's start. Okay. Let's see the real life examples on groups over here. Okay, so the main topic that we have to, we are leading towards is groups. So let's see certain examples of groups over here. So the group of permutations for let's say the first example, which is the group of permutations of 52 objects can be identified with the shuffling of deck of cards. Every time someone shuffles a pack of cards, they are performing a group operation. So basically, what's happening over here is I hope everyone is uh, good with the pack of card. Okay, everyone knows what a pack of card is. So a pack of card has 52 cards. Okay, so if you shuffle those cards, that is an operation that is being performed in a group. So basically, and the back of 52 cards can be seen as an example of a group, and then every time we are shuffling it, we are performing an operation over that particular group. Okay, so that is a very small real life example of a groups. Okay, the second example or the application maybe, uh, let's see it over here. uh, okay, um, so the example of groups, sorry, the application of group can be encryptions. Okay, so basically whenever we want to do encryptions, there is the topic, this topic groups is being purely used over there. Okay, so groups is being uh, very useful in encryptions. Okay, in dealing with encryptions. Okay, then let's see the next application. It is being very much used in it is being very much used in automated theory. Okay, then we can also see Rubik cube as an example of group. Okay, I hope what everybody would know what a Rubik cube is. So basically, uh, it's something with which the you know st- children's play. Okay, so that's a Rubik cube. Okay, so it has 9 cubes like that. So this is also an example of group. Okay, so we can obviously see many examples in real life for groups. Okay, we have seen certain applications also over here only. Okay, in the applications in the real life examples part. Okay, so let's see what an algebraic structure is. Okay, Let's see it over here. An algebraic structure consists of a non-empty set A along with an operation and a finite set of identities that these operations follow. So basically, what is an algebraic structure? An algebraic structure is a set along with certain properties. Okay, if you say this in simple words, it's just a set but with certain number of properties. Okay. Okay. So, okay, let's read this again also. So it's a non-empty set A along with certain, certain operations or properties and a finite number of identities that it follows. So we have three things. We have a set, okay, with an operation. So basically, let's an example say suppose we are taking the set as the set of integers, okay, and then we are taking the operation as addition, okay. So basically, we are performing additions on what set? On the set of integers. Okay, so that is an algebraic structure. That is an example of an algebraic structure. Okay, and also, what is the third thing that we have to see? That it should follow certain identities. Okay, so basically, there are certain two, three identities that it should follow in order to be an algebraic structure. So basically, we have certain kinds of algebraic structures. Okay, like monoid, semigroup, group, vector spaces, rings, or uh, many examples of algebraic structures. Okay, so in each kind of algebraic structure, what happens is that you have a set with an operation, okay, that follows certain properties, that follows certain identities. Okay, so this is what an algebraic structure is all about. Okay, let's see. Let's read this also. So, examples of algebraic structures with a single underlying set would be groups, rings, fields, lattices. Okay, so these are the examples for algebraic structures with a single underlying set. Okay, so basically, what happens over here is that we are just considering. See, what is that? Okay, so let's see this. We have just considered one set, okay, and one operation, or maybe more than one operation, okay, and then we are talking about this particular algebraic structure. So that is known as the, okay, so that is known as an algebraic structure with one underlying set. Okay, and what are the examples? The examples could be groups, rings, fields, and lattices. Okay, now we can have a certain number of algebraic structures that includes two underlying sets. Okay, so let's see an example for that also. So it would be vector spaces. So we would study vector spaces also somewhere down the line. Okay, so we have seen the example of an algebraic structure with two underlying sets also. So basically we have two sets, okay, and then one or a certain number of operations and certain properties that it follows, and that altogether make an algebraic structure. So I hope we have seen many examples of algebraic structures also. Now let's come to the binary operation. Okay, now this is very much important because okay, let's see this first. Okay, this is binary. Binary means by means two. Okay, so basically an operation that is being applied between two operands is known as a binary operation. Okay, now let's see the formula of definition of it. A binary operation on a set A is a function or mapping defined from a set A cross A to A. Okay. Now why A cross A? Let's see it over here. Why A cross A? Why we are talking about A cross A? A function. Okay. When we talk about a function, it starts from a set and goes to a set. Okay. So a function. Is a relation from a set to some different set. Okay, but here the set, okay, the set that we have taken as domain is the cross product of two sets. Okay, this is not one set, this is the cross product of two sets. Okay, So why we have taken this? Okay, why? Because obviously we are talking about binary operation. Okay, and for an operation to be a binary operation, there should be two operands. Okay, there should be two elements that are being connected by that particular operation. Okay, so for two elements, okay, for two elements we should have obviously the cross product of two sets. Okay, so here what's happening is that we have a function, let's see it over here. We have a function from what? From the cross product of, let's write a cross a over here. A, it's very difficult to write but okay, so it starts from A cross A and it goes up till what? A set called A. Okay, so basically the codomain is the same set, this same set A only. Okay, it is starting from the cross product of A, with A only, and then the image is going to the set itself. Okay, now, so this is known as the binary operation. So, what is a binary operation? It is a function from a set to a set, but the domain set is A cross A, and the codomain set is A only. Okay. So I hope that's pretty much clear what a binary operation is. Okay. So both of these elements A and B belongs to this. Okay, because obviously this is the Cartesian product of two sets. Okay, so the elements would look like, it would look like A comma B. Okay, obviously all the elements of this set A cross A would look like A comma B. Okay, so we have A and B into consideration. So we would apply this operation over here. Okay, this operation over here, and this operation would be known as the binary operation, and the answer would be only one element, and that element would come into this particular set A only. Okay, so it would come into that the set itself only. Okay, I hope binary operation is pretty much clear by this. Now let's see certain examples of a binary operation. So first let's see it over here. So addition is a binary operation on the set of integers. Okay, what do we mean by um, what do we mean when we say that addition is a binary operation on the set of integers? So basically, the underlying set is the set of integers. Okay, z. So we're talking about z. Okay, the set of integers. Okay, so this A set is set of integers, and this B set is also sorry, this second set is also set of integers only. This set is also set of integers. Okay, now if we perform addition between two integers, okay, it would give you an integer only. Okay, so if you take 1 and 2, you add them, it would be 3. So 3 would be an integer only. So that this is satisfying all the properties of binary operations. Hence this is a binary operation. So addition is a binary operation under what? If the underlying set is what? Set of integers. Okay, now let's see the second example also. It is multiplication. So multiplication is a binary operation on the set of integers. Okay, so multiplication is also an binary operation, a binary operation on what? The set of integers. Okay, now let's see it over here. Okay, let's see one of the algebraic structure. Okay, so the first algebraic structure that we have to study is known as groupoid or quasi-group. Okay, let's see the definition of it. Let A be a non-empty set and star be the binary operation, then A star is called groupoid if A is closed with respect to the operation start. What do we mean when we say it is being closed under some operation? Okay, let's see it over here. Okay, for closeness, we should know what the property closure has to say about. Okay, so let's suppose we have a set called A. It is said to be closed under an operation if A star B belongs to the set. So basically, what's happening over here is that we have a set called A. Okay, we would say that addition. Let's take the operation as addition. So we would say this set is closed under addition if we have taken two elements from this particular set and we add them, and the answer falls into this set only. So basically, if this is the set of integers, let's suppose it is the set of integers, we have taken two integers like -2 and -3, okay, and we add them, it would be -5. So -5 is also an integer, yes. Hence we would say that z is closed under addition. Okay, now please see, we cannot say that the set is closed under a particular operation if we look for one particular example. So for this example, what we have done, we have taken an example and we have said that it is closed. No, we can't do that. If that is true for only one example, that is not true for all. Okay, so basically, for a set to be closed under an operation, what should happen is that all the set of elements that you choose, okay, the answer, okay, the answer after the operation should lie in this particular set only. Then only the set is known as closed under that particular operation. Okay, so what is the definition of groupoid? The definition of groupoid is that you should have a non-empty set first of all. Okay, then you should have a binary operation. Okay, if the set A is closed under that particular binary operation, then we would say that the set is known as the groupoid. Okay, the set with the binary operation is known as the groupoid. Okay, I hope the closure property is pretty much clear. Okay. Please remember that this should happen for all the A's and B's. Okay. So for all the A's and B's, okay, A star B should belongs to A only. Then only we say that this particular set with this binary operation is known as the groupoid. Okay. I hope that's pretty much clear. Let's see the example for groupoid. Okay. So we have taken the set of natural numbers, and the operation, the binary operation that we have to select, we have selected it as addition. Okay, so take any two natural numbers. Okay, natural numbers start from one. Okay, so take any two natural numbers, the answer, and add them. The answer would lie into the set of natural numbers only. Hence, n plus is a groupoid. Okay. So we have taken an example also over here. So 2 plus 4 is equal to 6 lies in the set of natural numbers only. This follows for all the elements. So this doesn't follow for just for this. It follows for all the elements that belongs to the set of natural numbers. Okay. Hence this is closed. Hence we would say this is a groupoid. Okay. So we have proved this to be a groupoid. Okay. Now let's see if Z plus is a groupoid or not. Okay. So take any two elements of Z and add them. It would fall into the set Z only. Okay, the set of integers only. Hence, it is a groupoid also. Okay, so this you can obviously see. Okay, and this multiplication thing, this also you can see that if you take any two set of any two integers and you multiply those, okay, the answer would be an integer only. Hence, this is also a groupoid. So we have three examples of groupoid over here. But the first one is natural numbers with respect to addition, the set of integers with respect to addition, and the set of integers with respect to multiplication. Okay. Now, after groupoid, let's see what a same group is. So, non-empty set. So, if A is a non-empty set, let's say it over here. So we have a non-empty set, just as that of a groupoid. Then we have a binary operation also. Okay. Then A star is known as the semigroup if it satisfies two properties. The first one is same as the groupoid only. Okay. So the first one is A star should be closed. Okay. The second one is that star should be associative. So if A star is closed and star is associative in A, then we would say that A star is a semigroup. Okay. Now, what do we mean by associativity? Okay, let's see it over here. For associativity, the elements into consideration is three. Okay, so we should have three elements. Mhm. We should have to take three elements. So let's take A, B, and C as three elements. Then, if A star B first and then with C. Okay, so basically, if you have operated A and B first and then with C, and if you have operated B and C first and then with A, the answer should come out to be same. If that happens, then we would say that the set is associated with respect to this particular operation. Okay, sorry, um, the operation is associated with respect to this particular set. Okay, so if these two properties, we have talked about A star being closed. Okay, so that's why we are not repeating it again. Now here, the second thing is associativity. So star is known as associative if A star B star C is equals to A star B star C. Okay, so basically, if you apply the operation between A and B first and then with C, or with B and C first and then with A, the answer should come out to be same. In that case, we would say that star is associative. Okay. Now, if both of these properties satisfy, then we would say that A star is a semigroup. Okay, so we have seen the definition of semigroup also. Now, let's see the example. Let's see the examples for semigroup. Okay, the first example for semigroup is n plus. Okay, now what is n plus? N is a set of natural numbers, and plus is obviously addition. So this is semi-group. Why? Because first we have seen that n plus is closed. Okay, in the previous example when we were discussing groupoid, we have seen that n is closed with respect to addition. Okay, so this we have already proved. Where is Okay, so we have proved this earlier only. Okay, now we would see associativity. So if obviously we would add A and B first, then with C, and if we add B and C first and then with A, obviously the answer would come out to be same. Okay, that's pretty much a very easy example. Hence, n plus is a semi group. Okay, now let's see this. What is Q? Q is the set of rational numbers. Okay, so we have taken the set of rational numbers with respect to addition. Okay, this is also a semi group because obviously because Q plus is closed. Okay, obviously, Q is closed under addition, and this is associative also because obviously all of both of these properties satisfy in this group also. And the third example can be the third example can be the set of integers with multiplication is also a semi-group because with respect to multiplication also z is associative. So if you take any three examples of the set of integers, say suppose 2, 5, and 10, then obviously if you multiply 2 and 5 first and then with 10 and 5 and 10 first and then with 2, the answer would come out to be same. Hence, this is associative with respect to multiplication also. Hence, all of these are examples of semigroups. Now, let's see what a monoid is. So again, same thing. We should have a set called A. Okay, that should be non-empty, and also we should have a binary operation. So these two things are same for all. Okay. Then this A star is known as a monoid if it satisfies three properties. The first one is A star should be closed. The second one is star should be associative. The third should be that identity element with respect to the operation should exist. Okay. Okay, let's see it over here. We have three properties over here. These two properties we have already discussed. Hence, these are pretty much clear. What is this identity element? Let's see this. Okay, so basically, an element of the set. So basically, we have this non-empty set. Okay, we have this non-empty set A. Okay, so an element of this particular non-empty set A is known as the identity element if A star E is equals to E star A is equals to A. Okay, what's happening over here is that if you select that particular element that we are calling as the identity elements, okay, so we would select that element, and if you operate that element with all the other elements of the group, okay, from left hand side or from right hand side, okay, the answer that would come would be A only. Okay, what's happening over here is that if you are multiplying or if you are operating that element E with any element of that particular set, then the answer would come out to be this next element. Okay, then we would say this E as the identity element. Okay, so if we talk about okay, so this identity concept we have already studied in like seventh, eighth standard or something. Okay, but here we are revising it and we are studying that identity concept more abstractly. Okay, so okay, let's see it over here. So basically, for all the sets and with respect to all the operations, we have an identity element. So if we talk about addition, the identity element would be zero, because obviously if you add a zero to any element, okay, or you add any element to zero, okay, both are same thing, the answer would be the other element, okay, except for zero. So zero would be the identity for addition, and one would be the identity for multiplication. So for all the other operations also, all the other binary operations also, there are different identities, but we would talk about those identities later on. Okay, I hope we're clear with what a monoid is. So, monoid is with three properties: closure property. The second property is associativity, and the third property is existence of identity element. Okay. Now, let's see some of the examples of monoid also. Okay, so n plus is a monoid. Okay, what is n? N is the set of natural numbers. So, natural numbers with respect to addition is a monoid. Okay, why? Because obviously we have seen that this is closed. Okay, this is closed. Then also we have checked that it satisfies addition satisfies associativity in n. And then let's see for identity element. Okay, okay, please make that n plus 0. Okay, okay, a set which has n and 0, because 0 doesn't belongs to n. So you have to take n plus 0 over here in order to make it a bonoid. Okay, so for 0 to exist, it should have n plus 0. So the underlying set is n plus 0 over here. Okay, so what is n plus 0? It is the set of natural numbers with one more element, which is 0. Okay, so in that case, it would be a monoid. Okay, n plus is not a monoid, but n with 0 plus is a monoid. Okay, okay, let's see it over here. So a plus 0 is equals to 0 plus a is equals to a. Hence, identity element exists, okay, in n plus 0. Okay, please remember, I have written it n, but no, in natural numbers, 0 doesn't exist. Hence, n plus 0 should be taken. Okay, what is n plus 0 over here? It is a set of natural numbers and also 0. So we have taken all the elements of natural numbers, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have also taken 0. So all the elements are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up till going till infinity. Okay, so this is a monoid with respect to addition. Also, the set of rational numbers is with respect to addition is a monoid. Also, the set of uh, integers with respect to multiplication is a monoid. Okay, why? Because what is the identity with respect to multiplication? It is 1, and obviously 1 exists in this particular set. Okay, and if you multiply any element of the set of integers with 1, it would give the same element only. Okay, hence this is the example for monoid also. Now let's see the most important thing, which is known as the group. Okay, we are studying all of these algebraic structures in order to study groups. Also, okay. So let's see. Let G be a non-empty set. So we have a non-empty set into consideration. Okay. Then star be a binary operation. So we have star a binary operation also. Okay. Then G star is known as a group. If G star is closed, star is associative. The third point is identity element with respect to the operation exists. The fourth point is inverse for every element exists in the set G. So here, one of the property increases. Okay, so basically we have three properties in order for a set to be a monoid. Okay, after monoid, we have added one more property, which is the inverse for every element. So obviously we have an operation into consideration. So with respect to that particular operation, we should have an inverse. Okay. Now what is an inverse? If we talk about the inverse in case of addition, let's talk about the inverse in case of addition. Okay. So if we have an element called let's say 1, okay, 1 in the set of integers, okay, and also we have 0. So 0 is the identity element. So element exists in what? The set of integers. Okay, if you add 1 to 0, it will become 1 only. If you add 0 to 1, it will give you 1 only. Okay, so 1 is an example of an element of the set of integers, and 0 is the identity element for that. Now an element would be the inverse of 1 if 1 minus 1 if it is being operated with 1, and it would give the identity element, which is 0. Okay, so 1 operated with minus 1, so 1 plus minus 1 is equals to 0. Okay, hence we would say minus 1 is the inverse for 1 with respect to addition. Okay, if we talk about multiplication, it would not be same. Okay, it would not be minus 1, but if we're talking about with respect to addition, minus 1 would be the inverse of 1. Okay, so I hope inverse would be clear by this. A star B is equals to B star A is equals to identity. Then we would say A is the inverse of B and B is the inverse of A. Okay. So this is what? This is the identity element that we're talking about. So what is the definition of a group? A non-empty set G is said to be a group if we have a binary operation. Sorry, if we have a binary operation into consideration, and this G satisfies four property. G star should be closed, star should be associative, identity element with respect to the operation exists, and inverse for every element in the set G would exist. Okay, then only we would say G is a group with respect to this operation star. Okay. Now we would see the examples for groups in the next video. Otherwise, this video would become very long. Okay, so we would have a separate video for the detailed explanation of groups and its examples. Okay, so we have so many examples for groups, so many new and different examples for groups that you have to study, so that one video would not be enough also. And so we would probably have more than 2 3 videos for studying the types of groups or the examples for groups. Okay, so we would wind it up over here only, and we would have certain exercise over here. So what is the first question that you have to do? The first question is that give examples for groupoid, okay, and prove all the properties. So basically, what you have to do, you have to find an example for groupoid and prove all the the properties that a groupoid should satisfy. Okay. Then the second question is that you have to get an example for a semi group, and then you should also see if both the properties of the semi group are satisfied. Then you have to get an example for group also. Okay. After seeing this particular video only. Okay. I hope today's video is very much beneficial for you in order to get a proper idea about what an algebraic structure is, what a groupoid is, a CB group, a monoid, or a group is. Okay, the most important thing is a group, but obviously we would come stage by stage to group. Okay, so all the properties are very much important. Okay, please do these questions, okay, at home. What are the learning outcomes for today's video? We have seen the real life examples and definitions and examples of binary operations, identity element. We have seen what an identity element is, what the inverse is, and we have seen the most importantly the definition of group, okay, and also the properties that a group satisfies. Okay, let's see these references. So let's change the references for unit 2. For unit 2, the most important book that you can study is Dikejan uh, is pretty much a nice book for this. But also, if you want to see an a very nice book over, if you want to read a very nice book over groups, then you should check out this book, Contemporary Abstract Algebra. This is a very nice book, okay, written by Joseph A. Gallian. Okay, if you don't want to buy this book, please at least go and check this online, and also please read some of the pages so that you may understand how nice book that is. Okay, so if you want to study this topic very nicely, then this is the third one is the book. And if you just want to study this for exam point of view, then obviously you can refer to any of the books. Okay, so all of these are references for this particular topic. um, Thank you so much for watching the video, and hopefully this video would be very beneficial for the initial understanding of what a group is. Please do practice all the questions, okay, and study hard and be safe.